the cloud. And we are live. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. This is me, Ivié Barnabas, hosting you today on the Lavenia Success Mastermind. It's a general session. Today is the 16th of February, 2021. I do not know where this year is going. February is almost over. I mean, this is like what, the third week in February already? And there are only 4 weeks in the month, right? Anyhow, glad to see some of my favorite people on here. Janet M, Suzanne, Sandy, hey Marky Mark, Gail, Jody, Carl, Daisy, Edward, Adrian Jackson, Cyril, Sandra. Oh, the big guy is in the room, John Lavenia himself. Lindsay Dollar, Lindsay, Robin, and of course, my brother Bill. Welcome, everybody, and good evening once again. Well, it's evening for me, I guess morning for some of you. I've been going through the last 3 or 4 weeks in my head, and certain nuggets just kept coming back to mind, right? And probably the first one was when Glenn took us through what we were prepared to do to get to where we want to go. But the question that has just been replaying in my mind again and again and again is who we are going to be willing to let go of. If they're not going to get us to where we want to go, if they're not going to serve us, if they're not going to help us achieve our whys, are we prepared and are we ready to forego those relationships, right? So that was where, well, part of the spark for today's topic of conversation began. And then we've spoken about choices quite a bit. And then, of course, as we know, Adrian Garner, who's not on here tonight, I don't think. I haven't seen him yet, unless he is, and he's hiding behind his camera. I tease him, and I've nicknamed him the seer, because somehow he speaks words into each of our lives because he sees us as we can be and not as we are. So he sees the potential in us, and he actually calls those things out, right? So for me today, what was coming up was words, but not just words, but names, right? So when people call you by your name or call you by a name, and I'll give examples as I go on, how are we, I know some people say words, don't hurt, words can't hurt me, sticks and stones and all of that. But you know what? We know that words are things. We know that words are energy, and therefore we know that words, when spoken, get partnership from the ether, and those words actually become life. They become real things. They become reality, right? This is where I need Stuart Lama King, aka our resident entomologist, to tell me the origin of words, because I'm going to say a few things tonight, and I'm just hoping you'll go along with me. So I'm going to give examples. I mean, a lot of us have scripts that we've been fed right from when we were yay high till now that we're fully grown. And some of those things, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, anybody older than us, grandparents sometimes may have called us stupid or idiot or good for nothing, or you're going nowhere, whatever it is, those negative words they called us, right? We may not have responded, right, to those words. So if they had said, hey, you idiot there, come over, we may not have said yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, right? But those words nonetheless have fed into our subconscious minds, and we grew up somewhere in our hard-written, hardwired scripts on the inside of us. We grew up knowing that people we wanted to look up to, people who should have seen the best in us, people who should have inspired us, people who should have encouraged us to be all that we can be, spoke negative words into our lives, right? So now as adults, we're finding it difficult to break free of those scripts, right? And actually become the smart, beautiful, intelligent, sharp, going places, energetic people that we all are, right? And so we're rewriting those scripts. Now, how many of us, and I'll give you an example. In my workplace, my current workplace, because I'm very outspoken, right? I can't see injustice of any form being done, and I don't call people out on it, right? I'm the one person who will go up to that, manager or colleague and say, excuse me, mate, I think you were out of order there, right? you shouldn't treat somebody like that, or you shouldn't use language like that, mind your P's and Q's, there are ladies around. I mean, that kind of thing, right? I will call things out, right? And so one of my colleagues who I have a lot of regard for, I mean, I call him my bestest mates in the workplace. He's a cool guy. He's approachable. I mean, I would do anything for him, right? I can go to him with anything, and he's just forever open and full of ideas and advice and whatever. But he started doing something, and, when he'd see me coming, he'd say, "Oh, here comes trouble," but he'd say it with a smile on his face. And I was like, no, because I believe many a true word said in jest. And so I'd call him up on it, right? Really lovingly, I'd charm the socks off him. I'd say, "Hey, mate, I love you to bits, but I ain't going to respond to that name. You can call me anything else but that. How about you call me beautiful, right?" And we'll make a joke about it, and I'd walk on, right? And I think because I said it so, I couldn't care less, laissez-faire attitude, he thought I was joking, right? So every time he'd walk past me in the corridor, he'd say, "Hey, here comes trouble," or "How you doing today, trouble?" And I'd say to him, "I beg your pardon? Do you want to address me correctly?" Right? And then when that didn't work, he'd say that, and I'd keep on walking. I wouldn't even respond, right? And then one day he came up to me and said, "Are we good?" And I said, "Yeah, mate, of course we're good." And he said, "Oh, I just noticed that the last few times I've said hello to you, you haven't responded." And I said, "Oh, really? Tell me when," right? I mean, I played dumb, because clearly the subtle approach and the, "you're my mate and I respect you highly," wasn't getting through to him. So I thought, okay, we're going to change tactics, right? And he said, "Oh, no, that, the other day, da, da, da." And of course, I remembered exactly what he was talking about. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember now. What did you call me?" And he was like, "Oops." And I was like, "Yeah, right. Because if you remember, we've had that conversation not once, not twice. And I have lovingly and respectfully told you not to call me certain things. But you insist, right? So you tell me when you're ready to get it right and address me properly. You're still my mate, nothing wrong. But I just don't want to send the wrong message to the rest of the organization." Because guess what? What happens is when somebody you hold in high regard gets away with calling you that, people who aren't even as close to you then think they have the right to call you the same name. Thinking, "Oh, well, if he could do it and he got away with it, clearly she likes that nickname, I'm going to try it too." And so I said to him, I said, "That ain't on, mate." I said, "I love you to bits. I respect you endlessly, but there are just certain things I'm not going to respond to. Because you know what? I want to be addressed the way I think I am. If by me being outspoken means I'm a troublemaker, how about you call me Miss Outspoken? Don't call me trouble." Because we want to create a culture where everybody feels welcomed, where everybody feels engaged in the workplace, where everybody brings their best, their A game every day of the week, right? Every month, day in, day out, they show up 100% of themselves, right? And if one person gets away with doing that, it's a slippery slope, because the next thing you know, people are going to be picking up choice nicknames for that, and the other. And I was like, you know what? You can, if somebody else is okay with you doing that, it's not okay with me, right? So when I said, and I had the conversation with him, really lovingly, I didn't get, all uppity, didn't get upset. I just said, "Mate, I love you to bits, but I ain't going to respond to that, because, yeah." And I said to him, I said, "Many a true word said in jest." And I said, "You do that. It might be okay coming from you, but last thing I want is for who down the road to call me that. And then where do we go from there?" And I kind of like gave him an example, and it was like, "Oh yeah, I see your point. I'm sorry. Well, he's never called me that again." Right. So today, what I'm saying is which people or what people who are, because if people are not building you up, then they're breaking you down. Right. So if you welcome negative speech, if you welcome negative nicknames, if you respond to those, then you're giving them license to say, it's okay to treat me that way. It's all right to call me nicknames, right? Because you don't call them up on it. And what we're trying to do is create the right environment where we can thrive, not only internally, but externally. Because mindset is critical in everything we do. We know that for most of us, we've chosen the Amazon journey. I know people are branching out to Etsy. Some are on Spotify, others are on Instagram. But whatever it is, we're in an online environment, right? And we're trying to launch our products. We're trying to get our sales going. We're trying to get supplies, shipping stuff to us. And so our mindset is really important. What we don't need is anyone planting negative thoughts or calling us negative names and we taking that on, because that's going to affect your ether. It's going to affect your environment. And we know that words are things, right? So in your subconscious, you may not realize it, but that word is jumping around in there. It's replaying. And when you start doubting, or you see the limiting beliefs come up for you, right? Those words, those names could be part of the problem. So let's start the way we intend to continue. And I'm not saying, get into an argument or get into a fight. Just politely say, I really don't appreciate that. I'd rather you called me something else. Or give them an alternative. Be constructive and say, well, how about you call me this instead, right? Because as we know, words are powerful. Words are actually life, because those words become reality. They take on energy and they multiply. They kind of like come back in a harvest, right? So let's make sure that that's what we do. So that was one part of what was ringing true for me in my head. The other part was, do we know what our names are? What our names mean? So, I'll give you an example of my name. So my full name, and please don't laugh, my full name is Ivié, my middle names are Precious Fragrance, and my surname is Barnabas. Now, Ivié means precious, right? If you kind of like dig into the etymology of the name, the roots and all of that, if you were looking for an English word, shortest translation, it would be precious, right? But the name itself, Ivié, is a shortened version of the full name. Now, I'm not going to even try and say the full name to you because it's almost 26 characters long. But basically, it's a story. It's a proverb. And it says, however angry the king gets, right? And it's not just any king, it's the ultimate king. So however angry God, the king of the universe or whatever, whatever you want to call that, but that's what the name means. It's God, the king, right? So however angry he gets, he doesn't rip off his signal or his signet of office. So Ivié means beads, coral beads. I don't know if you know coral. They're like the orangey beads. Now, in where I come from, they're really precious. And what the king's crown, his headgear, his neck piece, his wristbands, everything is made out of coral, right? So basically it says, however angry the king gets, he never gets angry to the point where he rips everything off, throws them on the ground because he's so angry, because they're precious, they're valuable, they're expensive, and it's going to be hard to kind of like reconstruct all of that. And so he doesn't lose himself and therefore yank, it's like the queen yanking off a crown and tossing it into the ground. There's just a reverence and a respect for things that signify the office you hold, right? So that's the first name. And of course, precious, right? Fragrance. Now, this was I went through a whole overhaul, and when I was given this name, it was like, one, I'm a breath of fresh air and I'm a ray of sunshine when I come into the room, similar to a fragrance, right? Now, if you put precious fragrance together, I don't know if you have your favorite perfume, but when you use perfume, you dab a little bit in strategic places, right? So behind the ears, in the inside of your wrist, and you rub it together. You only need a little bit, right? And the fragrance lingers, right? And because it's a precious fragrance, you don't go spraying it on like, air spray or whatever. No, it's just a little dab, because it's so potent that it lingers. So even after you've left a room or when you walk by, people kind of, ooh, Ivié's been here. Or, ooh, I like that fragrance, right? So this person, when I was given this name, that was what was coming up in their minds for them. And so the name fragrance, that's what it means. That's the story behind that name. And it's amazing. Everywhere I go, so people who are really close to me, who call me fragrance, they know that, because they say to me, oh my God, as soon as you walked in, fresh perspective, breath of fresh air. And I kind of like said, it's amazing how you live up to the name you're given, right? And then Barnabas, which is my last name, Bar, B-A-R, once again, West Stewart etymology, means son of. So like you have in the Muslim or Arab culture, you have bin, which is bin, which is like a descendant of or son of, right? And then I think in the Muslim religion, I think if they go al Rahman, so al will be as an offshoot of, right? So son of, descendant of al. So you have bin, you have bar, you have al, right? And I'm sure there are many others. And so Barnabas means son of encouragement. So it's not any wonder that most times when I speak to people, at least this has been my experience, and this is the feedback that I've got, is that I end up encouraging people, right? So when I give advice or when people, ask me questions and whatever, I always end with something that lifts them up, right? So I'm living up to my name. So every time I get called Ivié, I get called Fragrance, I get called Barnabas, those things are reinforcing. And I remember what my names, mean. And they reinforce for me who I'm meant to be in the world, who I'm meant to show up as, right? And so I think John has said this before, that we love our names, right? So when we speak to somebody on the phone, customer service or whatever else they are, if you repeat their names as often as you can in that conversation, try it. You will see that they will go above and beyond to help you out. The tone of the conversation changes. It becomes more filial, more friendly, more, it's just amazing because every time you call their name, whether or not they know it, something on the inside of them leaps. And, there's an affinity between you and that person whose name you're calling, even though it's over the phone. It's almost like, oh my goodness, I've got this person's attention. They remember my name. Wow. And every time you call that person's name, you get their attention all over again, right? So for me, it's important what I'm called. So anybody who doesn't address me the way I want to be addressed, I don't take that on because I realize how powerful words are. And even if I say to myself subconsciously, yeah, words can't hurt me, words don't harm. Words are things, they move, they have energy. Before you know it, they're going inside of you, they're taking root in some corner, and when you least expect it, that replay is going to happen and it's going to affect your mindset. It's going to mess with your mojo, right? So if there is anything that you're called, or if there's any kind of speech that anybody is speaking into your life or speaking into your environment that doesn't resonate with you, nip it in the bud. Just very lovingly, very polite, say, you know what? I ain't responding to that. Can you address me correctly, please? Can you call me something else? I can give you a few nicknames if you're short of some. I can give you, ideas on what I will happily respond to, right? Because these are all the things that, unbeknownst to us, just before you go to bed, if you're dreaming, if you're working on a project, and you suddenly hit a brick wall, that is going to replay. That, oh my God, yes, so-and-so did say you were a troublemaker. Or so-and-so said you were, stupid. Or so-and-so said you couldn't do it. You were incompetent, right? Nah. Let's try and guard our mindsets the best we can. So anybody who is not building you up, who is not speaking into your life, they are clearly breaking you down. There's no either or about this. If they're not addressing you properly, you need to call them up on it and just say, that is not acceptable, right? Because once we get that right, people then say, oh, okay, particular, yes, I am particular because I want to keep my mindset positive. I want to make sure that whatever script is playing on the inside of me is a script that's going to get me to where I want to go. Because we have so much that we're trying to undo. Why do we want to take on any more baggage, right? That we already have enough work that we need to undo from how far we've come. So as we move forward, let's decide from here on out, it's going to be positive stuff. It's going to be people speaking positively into my life. It's going to be people building me up. I don't want anybody breaking me down. And if they don't get the message, ciao, I'll be seeing ya. Because clearly they're not going to help you get to the fulfillment of your why. They are not meant to be on the journey with you to get you to your destination. And yes, it might be tough, but it's something, once again, are we prepared to let go of some relationships to get to where we want to be? So 2 questions for you. If you don't know the root or the meaning of your name, please find out, right? and write that, let that be an affirmation for you every day. Speak that reality into your being. Say, my name means precious fragrance, and that is what I am. So people will value me. When I show up, I will be valued. When I show up, I will be a breath of fresh air. Whatever your name means, find an affirmation, find a declaration that will speak to the very core of your being, right? And look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? This is who I am. And start walking in the fullness and in the reality of your name. Now, for some of us, we may not like, and this is it's a strong possibility. For some of us, we may not like our names, and thank goodness for deed poll. You can get your name changed. You can reinvent yourself and pick a name that resonates with you. Oh yeah, when I got divorced, I didn't hold on to my husband's name. No, my ex-husband's name. No, because I was like, I ain't carrying baggage into the next chapter of my life. No, divorce was, it's divided. It's over, ended, done with, right? And so I left that where it was. And when I felt I needed counseling, I went through that. But as soon as I knew that was over, one of the first few things I did as a sign that I had clearly moved on was to drop that name. So you will never hear me answering to that name. And when I see people, because sometimes, people send you emails and based on how they've saved you on their computer, on their contact list, you'll show up as that, right? So even though your email address is correct, it depends on how they've saved your first name and surname. Oh, I'm very vigilant about things like that. Or I say to my friends, and I say, oh, you are aware, right, that I got divorced like yonks ago. Do you mind going in and re-entering my contact in your phone? Like, yeah, for real? Because I want you not to forget who I am. This is me now. The person you're referring to was like way back when, right? I can promise you this is a much better version. This is the version you want to deal with, not that version, right? And they end up laughing, but they get the message, right? So it's things like that. How do you want to be addressed, right? And make sure that when anybody addresses you, they're addressing you the way you want to be addressed. Don't take it sitting down. This is your life. This is your destiny, right? And we're all here on a journey. We want to get to our destinations, right? Don't let anyone sabotage your efforts because they choose to address you differently or negatively or whatever else it is. So that's what was coming up for me today. So 2 questions. 1, find out the etymology of your name, what your name means. 2, write out a declaration or an affirmation that resonates with the meaning of your name and speak that into yourself, right? So maybe part of your daily, affirmations can be, you can start with that to say, this is who I am, this is who I choose to be, this is how I show up, and then incorporate the meaning of your name into that. And if you need to get your name changed, hey, it's possible. We can reinvent ourselves. Who says we can't, right? So don't be shy. Yeah, you might have to just reintroduce yourself to people. You can actually have a coming out party and say, now, bringing to your attention, reintroducing the better, newer, improved version of, you can do a whole, come on, let's celebrate this, right? So make it fun. But yeah, let people know that this is a better version. This is the version they want to be dealing with, not the one they knew, right? That might seem drastic, but for some of us, we may need to do that. Because if some stuff we've been doing hasn't been working, then it's probably time to change tactics, right? But if you're happy with your name, then find out what it means and start living up to that name. So that every time you're called, it's reinforcing who you're meant to be and what you're meant to be. Because everyone is waiting for you to make a spectacle of yourself in the most positive way possible. Yeah. So that's what was coming up for me. So I'm going to open up the floor, and I see Giovanna has her hand up. So Giovanna, were you going to say something? Oh, she's disappeared. Where did you go? Okay, maybe it was a mistake.
I can find the
Hi, Giovanna.
How does nicknames fit into that? I missed exactly how nicknames fit in.
Okay, so nicknames, I'll tell you, I have a few nicknames. My mom calls me Imelda Marcus and Tutti Frutti, or Toots for short, right? Because apparently as a kid, I had sweet tooth galore. Oh my goodness. And there was a particular sweet that I liked. It was called Tutti Frutti. So that just became my name, right? So I get called all sorts, right? But that's fine. I don't mind being called, I'm sweet, whatever. That's fine. I can live with that. But if people call me something like trouble, then yeah, that's negative. I am not going to take that on. Nah, right. But if you call me gorgeous, if you call me inspiring, if you call me, I would happily respond to that, you know? So nicknames are great, but let's just understand where the nicknames are coming from. And if those nicknames don't sit well with you, don't take it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because but there are a lot of syllables in my name, and for some reason, people are always shortening it, and that doesn't bother me.
But that's fine. If it's fine with, and this is, it's a very, and that's why I said it's a very personal thing. If it's fine with you, then that's brilliant. If you choose to respond to that and you don't think there's anything wrong with that, then that's fine. You know, that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. And then so, the base of our name, make that part of our affirmations
Yeah.
as a strengthening of our spirit self that was meant to be.
Absolutely.
Okay, I love
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Giovanna. Really great to hear your voice. Thank you. Okay, Sandy, you got your hand up. Over to you.
Hi, what a great little presentation this morning. I really enjoyed that.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
And it brought to mind a few different things. Growing up, I was the invisible child. So I never got any bad names. I got nothing, basically.
Wow.
So probably 6 months ago, I started, doing my own affirmations. And one that I came up with that I say every single morning when I get up, it's, I am a beautiful spirit. I am an old soul. I have a kind heart and a slightly foul mouth. because that's really, really who I am. And even though that last one, you might perceive it as a little negative, I don't. I'm old now, so I get to say what I want as a rule in appropriate places. So that's my affirmation, because I never had good or bad affirmations growing up. And that makes me feel really good every single day.
Fantastic. Well, you've earned the right, Sandy. Say what you want, when you want, how you want.
Yeah,
rock it.
That's how I feel. Thank you. I've made it to this place in life, and I do feel I've earned the right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Bill, yeah, you're next.
Hello.
Hello.
So we're not allowed to call you Imelda anymore? We're stuck.
Well, you can, because it's true. I've got shoes coming out of my ears.
Yeah, but now I feel guilty. Listen, what you've said there is perfectly correct. Words do have meanings, and words are very powerful things. And nicknames can be very powerful, and they can either be uplifting or very hurtful. When you work in extreme environments, sometimes nicknames come about by somebody doing something silly. I mean, I've heard some pretty damn ridiculous nicknames. I've heard some cutting nicknames, which you sort of go, oh yeah, I can see why you know. And they come in many variations. And I'm sure the likes of Mark has come across plenty of nicknames that are appropriate and inappropriate, maybe for himself, not only for the underlings. It's often when you get to find out what others are calling you that they don't tell you about is the catching bit. But I like your stuff about the names, particularly your surname, and saying the word bar. And then obviously onto the Arabic side of bin. Well, the Mac in my name can be spelled MC or MAC, and it means exactly the same. It means son of Donald. That's where that comes from. And the entirety of the name emanates from the west coast of Scotland and the Highlands and Islands and of Scotland. And the MacDonalds were known as the Lords of the Isles. And hence they become quite, I suppose, I suppose it's pride in one way, because they then call themselves, MacDonald means son of the world ruler. And I suppose back in the day when the Isles were the only known entity to these people, maybe across the Ireland or that was it. That was the whole gambit of the thing. but I am only too well aware I have two names, and I'm not going to give you them all, both. I'm going to tell you the meanings of them, but both of them mean the first one means resolute protector, and the second one means army power. Now, these are names that you guys do not know me by, but what I will say is I am quite like you, Ivié, in that I have stood up for people all the day since I realized that I can stand up, as opposed to being this small guy that gets picked on all the time. And being that resolute protector has followed me all the way through, through industry and through my career in the service as well. And I think it's a very important thing, as you have pointed out there, to know that your name actually does mean something, and it's to use that. And I guess I'm fortunate that perhaps because my mum and dad thought that I was maybe going to be high and mighty ruler of some description, but when naming me, but at the end of the day, I'm very pleased with what I have been named, despite having to get used to it over a number of years, because of the meaning of it, because I can see, yeah, this is who I am, this is what I do. I look after people, I step in and protect those that can't protect themselves, and I'm quite happy to do that. And sometimes that's been to my own personal cost, but hey, I don't really care. But I do like your style of taking no nonsense from those that would try and call you names that are rightly, incorrect, and can be hurtful and can be damaging in the long run. And it's often through people thinking that they are a little bit cocky, or a little bit thinking they know you better than they actually know themselves. So thanks, Ivié. That was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Oh my goodness. Just listening to you, Bill. Does anybody else wonder how he ended up in law enforcement? Like, hello. I mean, they spoke this when they named you way back when. Oh my goodness. Now it all, and can you see what I mean by all comes together? Like your given name, your birth name. It's just amazing. That is why you have such presence. And well, there's a lot of you to be admired. Hey, Bill, you command respect. You have charisma. You show up. I just, now I can see, it just makes sense. Tick, 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 tick. So yeah, please keep shining, keep it going. I mean, you got my vote any day. I will. Yeah. I can't wait to meet you in person. I'm going to give you a massive hug, right? This is like for real, right? So yeah, I can't wait. But thank you so much for sharing, Bill. I don't see any other hands up. Does anybody else have thoughts on this? Oh, Nancy. Hello, Nancy. Your turn.
Oh,
Hiya.
okay. Sorry. Hi. Good morning, everybody. What an amazing topic, I must say. It's, nothing is a coincidence anymore. It's just all meant to happen. So I love what you had to say about how people refer to you. And just the other day, I was talking to my mom about my name. We were talking about our first names, and the conversation was, do you like your first name? And I said, I have always loved my name, always, because I was named after my grandmother. My maternal side comes out of the Ukraine. And so she was named Anastasia. And I just looked it up, and this is perfect timing. And I want to share it just because I'm in the process of reinventing, tweaking some stuff for my profile on Instagram and then LinkedIn. And so this is kind of cool. I'm just going to read it to you really quickly. And here it is. So it's a Greek name, Anastasia, and it literally means resurrection, one who will be reborn. And this comes out of this thought that Anastasia, who was the famous daughter of Tsar Nicholas II, last emperor of Russia, who many believe survived the 1918 massacre of her family. So the word to me, like being reborn, being revitalized, regenerated, it's just like, it's so perfect. I can't believe it. So I just wanted to share that. If you haven't looked up your name, look it up. And what a great, it's perfect for today. Thank you, Ivié.
Wow, you are so welcome, Nancy. And you are being revived, you're being refreshed, You're being repositioned because the world is awaiting, your reintroduction, right? And you're blossoming. I'm looking
Yeah.
at you and I'm thinking to myself, this is a brand new woman. It's like you got a new lease of life. So it's amazing that you're sharing the meaning of your name today. So yeah, just rise and shine. This is your time. Just go for it. Wow.
Yeah, and I love that I'm going, it is a declaration like every day, of facing this kind of newness, and revitalization, rebirth. Yeah, I'm going to play with it. So thank you so
Wow.
much. Fantastic.
Wow. Oh, this is so encouraging. This is amazing. Thank you, Nancy. Gail, you're next.
Okay, thank you. This has been a fun and interesting session. And I just looked up mine, and my first name, Gail, Gail, means father's joy or gives joy. My second name, Ann, Ann, means favor or grace. And Baumann means neighbor or fellow citizen. And in German, that name means either a tree farmer or a builder. So very interesting. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. And I can see all of that in you. You're favored, you're full of grace, and you're definitely a builder. I hear the stories you've told us about the different roles and jobs you've had and how you built something up, right? So you've definitely lived up to all your names. And oh my goodness, this is amazing. Thank you so much, Gail.
Thank you.
Oh, this is so cool. Stefan, yay, Gail's son, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Oh. Hi, how are you guys?
We're very well. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Brilliant.
So my question is a little different. What if you're the one who is in the habit of, hold on, turn off your sound now. All right, turn off your microphone. Okay. You know what, I'll turn off mine. Where am I? All right. So my question is a little different. What if you've got into the habit of giving yourself some names that are not always positive, and what is a good way to break out of doing that?
Aha. So that is a script or tape that you constantly play to yourself. It's going to take effort, and it's going to take consistent effort at that to undo and replace that tape with a new tape. So like I said, every morning when you wake up, just before you get out of bed, before your feet hit the ground, say whatever it is you want to replace that old tape with. So if, for example, the old tape said something like, I'm not smart, I have no future, whatever it is, change that to, I'm intelligent, I'm open to ideas, and I can spot opportunities when I see them. I'm going places, my future is bright, right? So just change it for things that are true to you, words, and use your own words, right? So write it and say it out loud like you talk. So use your kind of language, right? Let your personality come through in those statements, and let it be something that, resonates with you and that kind of like rings true with you, right? And say that before your feet hit the ground in the morning, and last thing before you go to bed at night. So that just before you go into that mini sleep, shallow end, and then go in deep, before you shut your eyes, just say, and put your hand on your chest if you have to, or your hand on your head, and speak and say, my future is bright, I'm going places. And you'll be amazed, because apparently between when we sleep, we actually dream about the last few things we focus on. And when we wake up, whatever we speak, our first few words kind of like set the tone and the vibration for our day. So by doing that morning and night, and if you're going for a walk to the store, just think about it, right? So whatever you focus on expands, right? So just whenever it comes to your mind, whenever you remember, just replace that old tape with the new one, and speak the reality you want into being. That would be one suggestion from me to change that. Yeah. Fantastic. You're welcome, Stefan. Welcome again. Yay. This is exciting. Cyril, you're next. Hi, Cyril. You're muted. We can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, lovely. Oh, thank you for that, Ivié.
You're
That's it's really cool. I as soon as you started doing that, I started looking it up, and and it's quite interesting. Some of it I knew because I know that Cyril, I've been told for many years, relates to a few people over the centuries and millennia. One of them being a Greek monk and who I think went to Russia and he basically originated the Cyrillic languages of the Slavs. So so my full name is Cyril Arthur Dorset, and actually, if I really put it fully, it would be like Cyril Arthur Dorset V, because my family have had a habit of calling the son Cyril, the oldest son, Cyril Arthur Dorset. So, but if we get past that little thing, so apparently, according to all the etymologies I've come up with so far, it's lordly, son of the warrior king, or bear prince, the good-tempered. It's quite interesting. I must admit, for many years as a child, I really didn't like my name Cyril. It was the it got a lot of abuse, my name, as a child, because anybody with a different name tends to. As an adult, I've tended to appreciate it because because it is a different name, and I think it's good to have. I think it's quite nice to have a different name, but so but I kind of eventually kind of got used to my name, and I'm okay with it now, which is good. So but that's quite interesting looking it up. I think the Bear Prince relates to the Anglo-Saxons, and apparently well, it's a bit contested, but apparently it's maybe a number of Anglo-Saxon kings. But anyway, lordly son of the warrior king, or Bear Prince, the good-tempered.
Well, from the little I know about you, Cyril, you've got fighting faith in you. You are somebody who bounces back. It doesn't matter what life throws at you. You get back up again and you get on with it. So you definitely have that fighter warrior spirit in you. And I can see you going places. I can see you standing before kings and royalty. So,
I kind of have, actually.
There we go. So
I've served kings and royalty. So,
There we go. So, yeah, live up to your name. Go out there and shine. Live up to the fullness of your name. Yeah.
Thank you, Ivié. That's been really fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. And John's next. Hello, John.
Hey, everybody. It's funny, you were talking about names and I called you Ivy for like a month. So, and I had a chuckle. Is a great topic, by the way, but you were talking about like a precious lingering vapor or fragrance, and my mind was going in a bunch of different directions with that. But I was thinking about my name and how I was told. So I've been told that I was named after St. John, the Apostle. So, all right, that's cool. So what does that mean? Did I take that on? Does that, have I attempted to be saintly because of that? Arguably, but I think we all kind of add our own meaning, like what you were talking about, where you refused that meaning from that person who was offering you something that he thought was fun or funny, and it was more serious because of how we take that. Now, I've been called a few things, but I think as was just brought up, what if we've got these ideas, these things that we've taken on, and how do we eradicate them? I think what we're talking about is autosuggestion, because I can accept or reject. And in a moment, right, walking down the hall, someone saying, oh, here comes John, and then whatever their assessment is, or some nickname or something, that's a temporary thing. But if I take that on and if I live into that, kind of like the, like my last name, Lavenia, so the Italian venire means to come. So one interpretation of my last name is the coming. So, all right, that sounds pretty profound, man, the coming. Like, all right, I could take that and run with it. What if it wasn't something that I was interested in? What if I wasn't interested in arriving or coming? I guess I could reject it too, but it's the thought that I entertain most often. That's the one, that's the auto-suggestion piece of it, right? It's my internal dialogue to myself. So, so I like my name. I don't dislike it, but I've also gone deeper. And, when studying, spirit and getting into the spiritual aspect, for a time, I was careful to not say, oh, I'm John. My name is John. I'm not John. Right. So now we're going deeper down the rabbit hole, right? John is what I'm doing right now. This is the doingness. This is the action. It's not the noun. There are no nouns. There are only verbs because I am spirit. Right now I'm doing this John thing for what it's worth. And, but I've been around for a while. So that, and you could do with that what you like, but having studied some of the, more metaphysical aspects of how we can pigeonhole ourselves by saying I am and then my name. All right, well, that limits me to right here, right now. Is that it? Is that all I am? So not to go, too deep down that hole, but it's something that I can also look at with a bit of flippancy, because I know whether I'm pleased or not with my name or how I interpret my own name or how others interpret it, I know that's a tiny little piece, tiny piece of who I am. So how do I demonstrate that? I guess, for me, it just, continuous practice. We had group meditation with Nicola today. I wasn't able to participate live, but the recording is posted. Thank you, Nicola, for your service. We can continue to remember who we are to a more full extent and not be so damn attached to all the meaning and the meaning that we add to stuff. I was thinking of a movie. It was a comedy. Kind of juvenile, I don't remember, but it was like nights, and there was like this witch, and the witch's name was Latrina, and they're like, oh, that's a terrible name. She's like, oh, I changed it to that. And they said, well, what did it used to be? Oh, shithouse. So Latrina. I was thinking if I had another daughter, maybe we'd name her Latrina. Of course, my daughter's named Trinity, which is, I suppose, means 3 in 1, right? There's a lot of, religious connotations to that as well. We named her after a movie character from The Matrix, right? So this powerful, woman heroine type figure. And I thought if I ever had a son, I'd name him Vincent. So he could be Vinny Lavenia, little Vinny. But that never panned out. So, but thank you. Fun conversation today, Ivié. You're awesome.
You're welcome, John.
Right.
But I mean, I'm thinking about you, John, and what you said about John. I mean, if I think of John in the Bible, he was the one who introduced people to the way, right? He spoke of what was to come. So he kind of like said, don't look at me. There's something true and authentic and real and lasting that's coming after me. That's what I want to introduce you to. And I'm just thinking back to how we met, right? And I'm thinking you started most of us on, or maybe got us back on track in terms of personal development. And you showed us a better way to be present, to show up with intent, to be better versions of ourselves. And because of you, we're going into the marketplace, wherever that is for us, and making spectacles of ourselves. So you were like, yeah, let me show you a better way to be, a better way to go. And through you, we've been introduced to so much more. I mean, we birthed this platform. It's going places. We're trailblazing, right? And you've just said, yeah, I will introduce you to something so that you can go and find the true. And so we're all on this quest. Thanks to you for making the introduction and opening, our minds up to this bigger and better and, truer and more long-lasting way to be, right? So you're living up to your name, in the here and now, but that doesn't limit, like you said, to whatever else you're capable of. But just thinking of that one dimension, you are doing excellently well. So thank you, John.
Well, thank you for the acknowledgement. And look, I can do nothing but acknowledge you. That's the impression you've had on me. And I could say that for all the people that show up here in this group. This isn't by accident, right? This is pretty profound. So, but it's interesting to look at the names of it all. It's and meaning, right? We talked about Viktor Frankl recently, Man's Search for Meaning. What does it mean? Well, whatever you think it means, right? So thank you, my friend. I'll yield the floor.
Thank you, John. Lindsay, I don't know how you're going to beat that, but over to you, babe.
No, you're right. I was going back to when you first were talking about if people call you stupid or if that's lingering over your head. I thought about that. It's been a few years ago, but if someone is stupid, they're willing to learn. I mean, I'm just saying if anybody has this, like just always in the back of your mind, they have the capability and the willing to learn. Somebody that knows everything can't be taught anything. So I was going to just throw that out there. So, if someone calls me stupid, I'm like, yep, all day. I can learn though. I'm willing. I just kind of throw it back at them. Like, that's the only one I'd rather be stupid than a know-it-all. But that's because I haven't arrived. So, but yeah, I was going to just say that. Yeah. And the name thing is really, that's really important. And thanks to John, nobody in this group has spelled my name wrong.
Yay.
EY is the last name, Lindsay, and AY is the first name. So it means like, so anyway.
Oh, thank you so much, Lindsay. I mean, that is another perspective, right, that we can have. So, if people, do call us nicknames that don't resonate with us, that's a nice way of, letting them know about it. And then, they might think twice before they do that the next time around, right? But that's fine. I mean, that's posture and saying that the words aren't going to hurt you, right? You're just going to flip it and see the good in what people say. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Lindsay. I don't see any other hands up. So does that mean I give you 8 minutes back of the hour? But thank you so much, everyone, for, contributing and weighing in. That was what was coming up for me. At 10 UK time, which I believe is 5 p.m. ET, Eastern time, you got me again, Corporate Curios Tuesday. And then I believe there's no metaphors for success tonight because Wayne can't make it. But that's what we have on the calendar for the rest of today. If I don't see you later on Corporate Curios, then we will see you on the general session tomorrow evening. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.